Okay, so for the first snare drum of the week, I'm going to be talking about the classic Ludwig Acrolite. This was actually the drum that I started playing on in 5th grade. I'm sure a lot of people who went through school bands, they have these drums. So this one, it's not the exact drum that I started on, but it's the exact same type. It's got a textured orange peel. It's a 5x14 seamless aluminum, powder coated with this like textured finish. This drum I use primarily tuned really high, kind of a James Brown funk kind of a sound. Single ply head. Right now I have an Evans UV1 on it. I just removed the original stock Ludwig head not long ago. Still got the original Ludwig bottom and wires. Great drum. It's one of my favorite drums. It's really dry. It records really well. So that's why this kind of stays in the studio primarily for me. I actually have 4 of these, so we're going to talk about each one of them. But for now, let's check out the orange peel Acrolite in context. The next one is a 90s drum. This is what they call the Black Galaxy finish, or better known as the Blackrolite. It's got the black and white badge. This one, the other one I tuned really high, the batter head, if you're into using the tune bot, I had the tension rods tuned to an F. This one is a 3rd lower, so the tension rods are tuned to a D. I also have a muffling ring on it. This is my go-to drum for any kind of like a Steve Gadd, real tight kind of compressed snare sound. Not tight pitch-wise, but just the sound is really kind of tight and controlled. The wires are usually pretty tight. The muffling ring just kind of dampens and focuses everything in. This is also the one that I'll take on club gigs around town. It just seems to be a nice drum for small rooms. Not super loud, but still has some kind of crack. And some nice beefiness. So this is like my fusion studio drum. So let's check this one out. All right, number 3. This is probably the one that most people who started playing drums in the 80s, this is probably the version that they had with the flat gray powder coated finish. Some people refer to it as Battleship Gray. This is another early 80s drum. This one, I have it tuned down to a B at the tuning lug. So this is kind of that medium low, kind of like fat and punchy. I just have a muffling gel on it. The muffler is just slightly touching the head. This is the one that I use on almost every indie rock kind of a session. Something where you want the snare to be kind of punchy and smacky, but hit and get out of the way. Again, this doesn't leave the studio. It's primarily recording drums. So let's check this out in kind of like a driving rock track. All right, now the last Acrolite I wanted to talk about is this. This is a 60s shell. It was actually given to me by my good friend Bruce Hagwood at RBH Drums. He just gave me the shell. I had these single flange hoops from another drum that I put on it. This is different because it's an anodized finish. where the others are powder coated. So this has a little bit more of an open sound. I actually tuned this one really low, and I taped the crap out of it. This is my like disco 70s super dead pillowy kind of sound. I've got an Evans G Plus on this right now, but in general it's a single ply head of any brand coated. This is the frosted. I think I might have had a 2-ply coated on the medium low tuning drum, but these drums just sound good. Especially on their microphones. I think that's their, where they're really strong. I don't take them out live, except for the black one. I have other aluminum drums that I use for gigging that are much more sturdy and have more power and projection. These are kind of nice and dry, controlled, really good for recording. So anyway, let's check out this super deep fat dude. All right, so that's it for episode 1 of Snare of the Week. I'm going to try to do one every week. So I'm going to go through my personal collection. I'm thinking I'm going to just work through chronologically the drums that this was my first drum. I'm going to go through my first wood drum next, and then a couple other things. Just work my way through the stuff I use often, and the drums that have kind of sentimental value. Not necessarily reviews per se, but just to kind of share what I have, what I use, why I have them, why I have 4 of these. What the function is in recording or live or both. So anyway, this is the end of part 1. Get yourself an Acrolite. I think every drummer should have 1 or 2 or 4. All right, see you next time.